Well, guys, I'm sure by now a lot of you have probably heard about the situation with Greg Biffle and his family, when they ended up losing their lives in a plane crash that happened in Statesville, North Carolina, which is pretty tragic. For that, my heart absolutely goes out to everybody that cared about him and his family, all of his friends and all of their friends as well. And, you know, um, it's a pretty sad situation, pretty tragic. And, my heart just aches for those who are dealing with the loss of Greg and his family. This was his family right here. He had a beautiful, loving wife and two children. You know, and like I said, all of their lives just gone. It's pretty sad, for sure. And from what I understand, there was two other people that were killed on that plane too. I do not know of their names. Unfortunately, I haven't really looked into that too much, but we'll definitely do some digging into an article of some sort here shortly. If I could find a decent one to read to you guys. But yeah, this man, his wife, and two children just had their lives cut, when a plane crashed. It is pretty tragic, and I know I keep saying that, but I can't tell you how bad my heart aches for this family. You know, that's really what I could say about this right now. For most part on this channel, I normally talk about politics. You know, even though I haven't really been uploading to this channel much the past few months because I've been super busy, other than a day or two ago when I was talking about the Rob Reiner, Donald Trump situation. Other than that, I haven't really been uploading to this channel much, but like I said, I usually upload about politics on this channel, but I just felt like this was something that I needed to talk about because, it's a sad situation. That's for sure. Alright, here's an article that I did find. I'm not going to play any of the videos that are shown on here, and normally I don't care to read articles from this page, people, but, this is probably one of the very few ones I could find. And I guess, correction, there was actually 7 people that ended up losing their life. When I watched a few other videos, they said 6, but this says 7, so. But we're going to read this right now. New security footage shows the moment the plane carrying Greg Biffle, his family, and 3 others burst into flames at a North Carolina airport on Thursday morning. In the video, the Cessna, however you say that, C-550 crashes and skids down the runway at Statesville Regional Airport on Thursday of December 18th, exploding into a fireball and leaving in its wake plumes of thick black smoke. All 7 people aboard the business jet, registered to Biffle 55, were killed in the crash, including the NASCAR champion, his wife, Christina, Biffle 35, their 5-year-old son, Ryder, and Greg's 14-year-old daughter, Emma. Greg Wadsworth, a well-known figure in NASCAR circles who once drove former race car driver Kenny Wallace's motorhome, was also aboard the plane, as was Dennis Dutton and his son Jack. This is a screenshot of a video that was taken from a home right by the airport. Like I said, I'm not going to show the video because it is a bit disturbing to watch, and I also don't want to show anybody else's video at this point. But still, this is a photo right here of the fireball from the plane crash right here. Dennis Dutton is a commercial airline pilot, but it is unclear who was flying the plane at the time of the accident. Biffle received certification to fly a multi-engine plane in March of this year, according to NBC affiliate WCNC, but his license would not have allowed him to be the sole pilot. And there's another picture of his wife, son, and daughter right there. That was a photo that was taken in July of 2022. Jack Dutton, who graduated from Howell High School in Cornelius, North Carolina in 2024, was recently certified as a single-engine pilot. The station reported Jack was a junior at Auburn University, where he studied aviation. Cornelius today reported a team of 16 NTSB investigators left Washington, D.C. for North Carolina late Thursday afternoon and will now piece together the plane's last moments, the agency shared on X. NTSB member Michael Graham is expected to hold a media briefing on the investigation on Friday, December 19th. The plane left the regional airport, which does not have a control tower, shortly after 10 a.m. on Thursday morning en route to Sarasota, Florida. FlightAware data shows it turned back minutes later and was attempting to land at the time of the crash. Fog and heavy rain were present in the area, AccuWeather's Dan DePodwin told People in a statement. Here's another photo that was included in the article. Adverse weather conditions were reported in the vicinity of Statesville Regional Airport around the time of the plane crash. DePodwin, AccuWeather Vice President of Forecasting Operations, said heavy drizzle and a cloud ceiling near 1,200 feet were reported at 10:15 a.m. The cloud ceiling had reportedly lowered to around 400 feet, with heavy rain reducing visibility to less than 2 miles at 10:30 a.m. Investigators have not yet determined if weather played a role in the accident. In the final moments of the plane's flight, Christina Biffle sent a harrowing text, her mother told People on Thursday. She texted me from the plane and said, "We're in trouble," and that was it, Kathy Grossu recalled. "So we're devastated. We're brokenhearted." The group was traveling to Florida for a birthday trip, Kathy told People. Biffle would have turned 56 on Tuesday of December 23rd. So yeah, it's a pretty sad situation, like I said. Biffle would have turned 56 in about 4 days or so as of the time I'm making this video, and they were about to head to Florida. It's sad that when you're excited on going on a trip and then next thing you know, something ends up happening and just tragedy strikes, and it's something that I never wish to happen to anybody. And my word, I'm sorry about these freaking pop-ups, man. It's the thing I hate about reading these articles is it's always pop up after pop up after frickin' pop up, man. But still, just I've said it multiple times and I'll say it again. This is a sad situation, you know. Greg and his entire family lost their lives, as well as a few other people on that plane. And, you know, it's not something I would ever wish to happen to anybody. You know, that's for sure. My heart goes out to these people big time, and you know, my heart also goes out to those who are affected by this tragedy. You know, my thoughts, hopes, and prayers go out to those who are suffering the losses of this family and some of the other people on that plane. It's sad, man. That's really all I have to say. Be sure to hug your loved ones, man, because you never know when something like this can happen. You know, it's a screwed up world that we live in, unfortunately. But, you know, best thing we could do is love each other and always be there for those who suffer from tragedies like this, you know. It's not something I would ever wish to happen to anybody, you know, regardless of how I feel about them, regardless of what life they live, what they do for a living, regardless of their lifestyle, their politics, their race, their religion, just anything like that. You know, that's for sure. So, again, I normally talk about politics on this channel, but like I said, I wanted to put politics aside and talk about this. Sorry about my slow speaking and my stuttering. You know, if I sound like I was speaking gibberish, I apologize for that. That's just one of my bad habits if I go to speak for a long period of time, but hope everybody's having a good day, good night, whenever you're watching this. Hope everybody plans to have a good Christmas. I'm out of here. You guys take care now.